What is up? Oh, sorry. Let me get that out of the way. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another post-game show on the Show Me Football YouTube channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com, covering your Missouri Tigers. And today I am joined by none other than Brayden Dowers to break down Mizzou's 21-17 victory over the Auburn Tigers on homecoming. And we're doing this the day after, so we've had some time to soak in this game and our thoughts, but Brayden, in the end, it was not pretty, but you came away with a victory, which is the only important thing, is that you come away with a victory and you're 6-1 heading into Bama with, everything you want this season still being possible. Now, of course, I'm not going to assume anything, and I'm not saying anything is going to happen, but anything that Missouri wanted to do this season had to start with a win against Auburn yesterday. After they were beat down against Texas A&M a couple weeks ago, you're just trying to stay afloat and give yourself a chance by the end of it for that thing that I'm not going to mention, since this team doesn't deserve for us to talk about it right now, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, Brayden, 21-17 victory over Auburn. A little bit of an incredible comeback in the second half. Brady Cook returns from injury to lead this team on 280 and 90-yard drives to win it. So there's a lot to unpack with this game. We saw some Drew Pine, everyone's favorite hero, that, came in, and then we're like, oh yeah, now we know why he doesn't play. But Brayden, what are your initial thoughts on this victory for the Tigers?
I think I'm a lot more negative about it than you are. And the majority of the Mizzou fan base is just raving about this win and raving about what Brady Cook did, which I will give him his flowers. It was impressive to go to the hospital, get an MRI done, and say, nah, fuck this shit. I'm coming back out and I'm playing at Faurot Field for my final 2.5 games. I love that energy. Brady Cook has always had that energy. I've criticized Brady Cook plenty on this show. You have criticized Brady Cook plenty on this show. Yeah. We are on record not being the biggest Brady Cook fans, but he did good today, or he did good yesterday. But I'm still not impressed with this win. I'm not that moved. Yes, we're bowl eligible, and I don't care, which is a lot different spot that this program is at compared to 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like, we were lucky to be bowl eligible year 2 and 3 of the Drinkwitz experience. Now we're in year 5 and we got 6 wins and nobody cares that we're bowl eligible. So that alone is a pretty good improvement. Mm-hmm. That shows you how spoiled we have become as Mizzou fans and like what we are expecting at this point after the success of last season. You said that everything's still on the table. We have to beat Bama. Mm-hmm. Like, plain and simple, because I said going into this game that we had to dominate Auburn if we wanted a good shot at the college football playoffs. But now at this point, we have to beat Bama. You can't lose close to Bama. You have to beat Bama, which I'm not going to get into that game. But you have to win that, and then you have to go undefeated after it. Like, we have to go 11-1 if we want.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, they need to go 11-1 to like ensure a spot. They can still get in at 10-2, but it's not as much of a given. And I feel better about them getting in at 10-2 than I did a few weeks ago, just because of how not so great everyone else looks, and everyone else just kind of keeps losing, which gives Mizzou a better shot towards the end of it.
No, there's definitely a lot of parity in college football, a lot more than previous years. There's no team left undefeated in the SEC. Like, we're in week 8. I don't know if that's happened this early in the season before. But back to more focus on this game. This game I was at it. It was infuriating to watch. It was sloppy football all around, even when Brady Cook came back. Like, even on the 95-yard drive, and I'm sure the fans around me were, like, probably really annoyed at me by the end of the game. But every little thing, like every single play, there was something wrong with it. And I don't feel like I was overreacting that much because we got really lucky on that 95-yard drive. Again, I think Brady Cook did a fantastic job. but I think that he's getting a little bit overhyped for both of the drives that he put together because a lot of it was just Auburn making terrible mistakes. There was a 3rd and 7 early in the drive. They brought a blitz from the left side. We picked up a decent amount of blocks. Brady Cook spins and then just runs it for a first down. Solid play, but you got lucky that Auburn literally had no defenders in the vicinity whatsoever because they were schematically weak. The 3rd and 18 play that we threw it to Luther Burden. Entire stadium was losing their mind. I was losing my mind because Luther had it. It could have been like 4th and 3 or 4th and 2. It's a step back and then makes it 4th and 5.
Yeah, that was like
just
DeMarcus Robinson-esque for my Chiefs fans out there, just running backwards.
Mental. It was just mental mistakes, just little tidbits like that the entirety of this game. Like, we are week 8 into this year, and these mental mistakes aren't getting cleared up. And I know we talked about it a little bit, and it obviously worked out in the end, but giving Auburn 40 seconds left at the end,
46 to be exact.
Yeah. You give them 46 seconds left when you could have just run down the play clock a little bit more on that play that we even got the touchdown on, and then you only give them 20 seconds. Like, the fact that we gave them 46 seconds, and I know they had no timeouts and had to go score a touchdown, but I don't care. Don't give them that shot. Like, you can't do that. And again, I know that we ended up scoring, but just the clock management in this game, the fact that we just were we did not run the ball. That's my biggest takeaway from this game, is that we didn't choose to run the ball. I know Nate Noel got hurt. I know Marcus Carroll really wasn't in on that final drive either, so I think that he was a little banged up as well. But it didn't matter who we had in at running back in this game, because the offensive line, when it came to run blocking, was absolutely dominating Auburn's defensive line. And it didn't matter who was in at running back. We were getting 4 to 5 yards every single play. And there were multiple times on that 80-yard and 90-yard, or mainly the 95-yard drive, where we should have ran it and we could have got ahead of the numbers, and we wouldn't have been stuck in having to get lucky on 3 third down conversions and a 4th down conversion. We wouldn't have been in those situations. We wouldn't have had to have gotten lucky if we just kept running the ball, which we knew that we were successful at. Like, just completely strayed away from it the entire game. The fact that Drew Pine threw it as much as he did was ridiculous, especially with how bad he was. I won't say Drew Pine was too bad, though.
Yeah, I want to say something about him, but I'm still letting. Yeah, go ahead.
But the fact that we just completely went away from running the ball, even when he was in, when we were getting chunk plays and we were consistently getting 4 or 5 or 6 or big plays off the run game, was ridiculous. Like, we ended with less than 100 yards rushing, but it wasn't for lack of success. It was just a complete lack of trying. And then the one other thing that I would like to mention is the defense. While they did play well, there was one specific play, and this happened at a few points in the game. Mainly, so we were down 17-14. Auburn was on our 45, and it was 3rd and 13, and the Auburn wide receiver was running a little crossing route, and the quarterback overthrew him a little bit, and it hit the wide receiver's hands, and it was incomplete 4th down. Auburn had to punt. Okay. Mizzou was in a nickel defense on that. We sent a 3-man rush. We were basically completely content with giving up that drag and letting them get into field goal range. That was I was losing my fucking mind whenever I saw the package come out onto the field, because why the hell in that scenario are you completely willing to make this a touchdown game when our offense still hadn't had that much success to that point outside of the one massive Mookie Cooper play? And you're completely willing to just give Auburn a field goal by only sending a 3-man rush. And then the only reason why they don't get a field goal is because of, again, Auburn's mistakes and Mizzou getting
They're just
lucky.
not good. Yeah.
Like, it's not hardly any of this win comes down to Mizzou playing well. It comes to us getting lucky and Auburn just making boneheaded, terrible mistakes. So I don't, sure, we won. That's about the only good thing that we can take away from this game. And Brady Cook led a comeback drive that's going to get talked about had a performance that's going to get talked about by the national media because he was out of his pads and then he put them back on and came in midway through the third quarter. Like, that's cool. That's good. That's attention for the university. We won. We're bowl eligible. Cool. But the way that we got there is the most infuriating way possible against a bad Auburn team who Oklahoma beat on the road. And like Auburn's probably the worst team in the SEC. And this is how we had to beat them.
So I'm at the point this season where like I agree with you. Like, I'm not necessarily excited about this win. Like, you should beat Auburn, but I'm just kind of operating under the mentality that all you need to do is win. And I'm just hoping at some point that this team figures it out. Now, the later we get into the season and they don't have it figured out, it makes me less confident that they ever will. But as long as you're still winning games, you're giving yourself a chance to be in it. So that's where I'm at. So am I impressed, happy, excited about this performance? Absolutely not. But I am thankful that they won because it certainly could be a lot worse. I want to piggyback off something you said towards the end there, just about like the coaching decisions and on defense especially, and then, you know, running or not trying to milk clock, I should say, towards the end there when we scored a touchdown with 46 seconds left. Here's what I'll say. There's been quite a few coaching gaffes this year. I mean, you can talk about A&M where the coaches seemingly botched it by preparing for Marcel Reed and having zero thought in their mind that Connor Wegman could possibly be the starting quarterback. That was probably one of the worst mistakes that Drink has ever made since he's been the head coach, because he was even asked about it after that game, and he was like, yeah, he's a great player, just completely deflecting, which I think clearly shows at this point that they prepared for Marcel Reed, which is why they were so bad defensively in that game. And there's always been holes that you could poke, and Drinkwitz's clock management and things like that. Another thing that really bothered me, and it needs to stop after this game, and hopefully it will, but the continued trust in Blake Craig to go out there and kick anything beyond 40, 50 yards. And like, Craig clearly has the leg to make these kicks, but he's just not at the point consistency-wise to keep trotting him out there, because every time he misses, we are gifting the other team great field position to start, and it just cannot happen anymore. I think Drinkwitz thought at first, like, hey, if we make or miss this, cool, whatever, our offense is good enough to win this game no matter what. But like, Drinkwitz, where's this false confidence in your offense coming from? Because I'll start with kind of what you said about Brady Cook, because I fully agree. I mean, yeah, awesome. He came back in and led us to a comeback victory in which Drew Pine probably wasn't capable of, and that's great. And Brayden, I don't think either of us are questioning Brady Cook's toughness or his loyalty to the university. Never. I mean, we've never done that, and we gave Brady his flowers last year for how he performed. But I don't think what happened yesterday should negate the fact that Brady Cook has been a below-average quarterback this year for the entirety of this season. And he was still they actually said it during the broadcast yesterday, Brady Cook has the second worst pass rating in the SEC in throws of 20 or more yards. And it shows. I mean, this team lacks explosive plays down the field. Now, they had a couple yesterday, but they were mostly after the catch. Yeah. And that's where
the throw to Mookie that Mookie almost housed was a good throw that he fit in between two defenders.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you had a throw, I think it was either to Josh Manning. Yeah, it was to Josh Manning down the sideline on that 95-yard drive, which it was 2nd and 7, I believe. And Manning made a great move to get so much separation on the Auburn corner, and Cook just sailed it over his head and it went out of bounds.
Well, even on the last drive that he's getting all the praise for, there were two passes that I remember off the top of my head that he airmailed. There was one crossing pattern to Luther Burden over the middle. Even the broadcast was like, yeah, Brady just sailed that one. And then there was one on the sidelines that would have been a little bit more difficult for Theo Weiss to catch, but certainly could have been made catchable for Theo Weiss, and we've seen him make some really tough catches before. Those were two just off the top of my head that Brady airmailed. And then everyone forgets the two drives in between the 80-yard touchdown drive.
Where he just takes unnecessary sacks.
Yeah, takes unnecessary sacks.
No pocket presence.
Or we were backed up in our own end zone and we had to punt, and with a halfway decent offense, Auburn, if they had one, probably could have ended the game with that with us having to punt out of our own end zone. So I agree with you completely, Brayden.
And the play calling down there too. Like whenever we had the ball, I think it was on our own 1, we ran it and it got to 2nd and 7, and then we passed it 2 times. It's 2nd and 7. You are having success running the ball. You are averaging 3 yards per carry. That is all you need to get a first down is 3.3 yards per carry or 3.4. That's all you have to average to get a first down. And
yeah, and just to be clear, Marcus Carroll was averaging 5 yards a carry yesterday. Nate Noel 5.3.
Exactly, like ridiculous, like genuinely, completely ridiculous that we were not running the ball more. And it was 2nd and 7, and we decided to pass it with Brady Cook on I think it was bad ankle. What it was the injury? Did they say?
Yeah, it was an ankle. It was
okay.
An ankle.
I thought so, but it was 2nd and 7, and we throw it 2 times with Brady Cook on a bad ankle, backed up in our own end zone, instead of continuing to pound the rock up the middle of the field and continue to give us more room and do what we're continuing to be successful about. So,
yeah, I see the people who always say for us to run the ball. Sometimes I want to agree with them, and then situationally, this team tries to run the ball and they get stuffed, and I'm like, well, I don't understand it. But there was it definitely became a little more obvious that they should have ran the ball on the last couple of drives, especially the last drive, where because there was a couple situations. I mean, Brady made a great play both times. Whenever it was the 4th down before the throw to Luther Burden, and then there was the other one, the miracle that Brady Cook ran for a first down. But both of those situations could have been avoided by running on first down, where they instead decided to throw, and we were just putting us.
We got ourselves behind the sticks. We
were putting ourselves in unfavorable down and distance situations when we could have taken at least a few yards off on first down. And then towards the end there, when we were in the red zone, definitely could have ran it a few times. Now, here's what I'll say about us scoring with 46 seconds left. And it definitely looked like some of the players on the field were like, did we celebrate? I'm not quite sure we wanted to score there. I could just kind of tell by their body language. And I think Jamal Roberts got excited and saw the end zone. Was like,
I can't blame him.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say, though. With this offense in particular, and with how much they've struggled in the red zone and with how bad they've been situationally this year, I just think when you have an opportunity to score, you need to go and take it with under a minute left. If it was over a minute left, I would have been a lot more concerned. But with under a minute left, I'm like, you know what? I just see too many scenarios where if you try to kneel it at the 1 yard line and try to run more clock down, that this is going to backfire on us.
Yeah.
So I'm completely fine with scoring there with 46 seconds left. That was manageable. And the defense did a great job too.
Dale and Carnell.
Yeah. His hit came to mind immediately. I mean, he was great yesterday. Yeah. He also made quite a few
You know
plays.
Who wasn't great? Toriano Pride.
You know who was great?
Sucks.
You know what? You know who was great though, Brayden. I'm going to give him a shout out. Was Eddie Kelly, who came in for the injured Zion Young. Now Zion Young did return later in the game, but Eddie Kelly started to get a bulk of the snaps. And
was Eddie Kelly number 97?
Yes, he was.
There
everywhere.
Was one specific play. He was on the very far end on the right side. Auburn ran a sweep play to the left, and he got around the tackle and got all the way to the other sideline and just bear hugged the Auburn running back and tackled him for like genuinely one of the most insane plays that I've seen. I thought that was Eddie Kelly, and I mean, him and McClellan were monsters yesterday.
Zion Young, I thought was really good too.
Yeah.
Again,
is Johnny Walker done anything this year?
He had the sack on the last defensive stand to pretty much seal the game, but he's been pretty quiet other than that.
But Toriano Pride is going to get fucking manhandled by Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams is going to make him his bitch next Saturday.
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope they don't try to expose that matchup too much.
Yeah, they're going to. Okay,
well, let's talk about defense because actually no. A little bit more about the offense. I want to talk about Drew Pine real quick because I said I was going to talk about him. I think we're seeing why, the coaches are hesitant to put him in anytime Brady looks bad or if he's hobbled. However, I will give Drew Pine this. He came in, he kept the game afloat. He didn't do anything stupid to lose it. I was even arguing with someone yesterday after the game because they were like, if you say Drew Pine kept us in the game, you don't know ball. And I'm like, well, objectively, he did keep us in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And someone was like, oh, we went down big whenever he came in. It's like, yeah, because the defense gave up a busted coverage touchdown, not because of anything.
Marvin Burks is slow.
Not because of anything Drew Pine did. Drew Pine came in. He didn't F it up. He didn't, make the game completely out of reach by the time Brady Cook came back. And that's about all you can ask out of your backup, Yeah. Now, I wish Drink would recruit a better backup that can realistically play a little bit.
If
and maybe
Gabe is right and Drew Pine's our starter next year, I'm going to be worried. Like, if Drew Pine is the plan going into next year, I'm going to be extremely worried.
Of course, I'm sure that the original plan was for Sam Horn to be the backup, and then he had surgery on his elbow. So, yeah, I'll give you the coaching staff a little bit of grace. That probably threw a wrench into things. But Drew Pine is not someone that I'm confident in if he has to play for an extended period of time. And he definitely should not be your starter next year. So, offensively, Brady Cook did show some life in the second half. Gives me a little bit of confidence that maybe this offense can turn a corner and give us a chance against Bama. But I'm not one of these people here sitting here screaming, Brady Cook proved the doubters wrong and Brady Cook's our guy. Like, yeah, he is the guy. He is the starter this year. Obviously, there's no one else, but I just don't think it should negate the otherwise bad play from him this year. And I'm still going to need to see a lot more because the offense, after he went down and we went to Drew Pine, didn't look all that different from from before he got hurt. We didn't even look that good. And he was sailing passes and, being jittery in the pocket. So,
I mean, Cook said that this was the first game that he felt like he had both of his feet under him and that he was fully healthy, whatever that's supposed to mean, like blaming his bad play on injury. And then like the first drive that he was out there, I mean, he was still missing passes. Like he was still taking unnecessary sacks. He was still like doing everything that we've seen Brady Cook do this year. So
he was fine. I mean, he showed life. I mean, I'll give him that. I'll give him his props. We did just enough to win this game. I'd be interested to see what the final score looks like if he plays the entire game. Maybe we score 28-30 and it's not necessarily as close. And I'm sure the AP poll voters will give this team a little bit of grace as well because Brady Cook, their starting quarterback, did miss half the game. But not that it really matters. I'm just throwing that in there. But we still need to see a lot more from Brady Cook. This doesn't completely wash out everything else that we've seen this year. And that's my stance.
Pine is obviously like, you don't want to see him for an extended period of time, but for this game in particular, there were a lot of plays where he made some good throws. He did. Like there was one throw, it was a curl route to Theo Weiss, and there was two Auburn defenders, and he just threaded the needle.
That one. Yeah.
There was a few times where Pine made some throws, and it's just like, all right, he didn't make any stupid decisions. If he was scrambling out of the pocket, he knew to throw it away, or he could find an easy completion for a few yards. Like he didn't try to be a hero, and he's exactly what you want out of a backup quarterback.
They also had Brady Cook and Drew Pine had the exact same completion percentage yesterday.
That's funny.
Like, I don't know if people understand. Like, Brady Cook was 11 for 22. Drew Pine was 10 for 21. They had the exact same completion percentage.
Yeah. There was, what was it? Like, the play where Pine messed up the handoff.
Yeah, to Marcus Carroll.
Like, that was his biggest mistake, and he didn't really, the offense didn't move the ball hardly at all after that. But he kept us in this game. Like he kept us to the point where we had a shot to win this game. And there was one play to 86, the Jamal
or Jordan Harris.
Yes, Jordan Harris. Where we got him wide open and Pine hit him in stride, could have picked up a first down and like 20 more yards, and Harris just dropped it. And there were a lot of wide receiver drops in this game. It felt like as well, specifically when Pine was in, and maybe that's just because they don't have the chemistry and his balls might look a little bit different than Brady's paws. And Harris specifically on that play, Pine hit him in stride.
Was that Pine or was that Cook? I thought that was still Cook when
that was Pine.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, Pine hit him and he just dropped it. And if Harris caught it, he would have been up the field, up to like the 50-yard line for 20 yards because there was no Auburn defenders anywhere close.
Yeah, I do remember that. Now, Jordan Harris, I'll highlight him for a second. He had the one bad drop, but he had a couple other crucial catches in this game. He ended up with 2 catches for 20 yards. Nothing major or anything, but like he's such a huge target. I really hope that's something that they can get going now and in the future because I'm telling you, man, he reminds me of Darnell Washington from Georgia a couple years ago. I mean, he is just huge. He's athletic. I want to see
him in motion a lot.
Yeah,
and I like that.
I want to see him get involved more. He's a big dude. I think he could be really good. I mean, if he can clean up the hands part and just get the ball in his hands, I mean, he's going to be a hard dude to bring down.
Definitely.
All right, so I want to talk about the defense real quick. I actually liked what we saw from the defense, besides the one busted coverage touchdown and maybe a couple times where you could point out bad tackling. But for the most part, the defense got their shit together. And I understand Auburn's not necessarily an impressive offense, but neither was A&M. A&M was not a good offense going into that game. Now, you could argue A&M had more talent. They had the talent. They just couldn't put it together yet. But I thought this defense figured some things out. For the first time this season, Brayden, I can confidently say that this team was able to get in the backfield with ease. The pass rush came alive in this game. Eddie Kelly looked awesome. Zion Young looked good. Someone else I'm forgetting. Oh, yeah, Ja'Kai Lang had a tackle for a loss in this game, a huge one when it was the Auburn missed field goal. That's a big drive or a big defensive stand, Brayden, that a lot of people aren't talking about.
Yeah.
Because if Auburn kicks that field goal.
Another point in this game where we got lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get lucky there. You get lucky that they didn't. So they get that field goal there. It's 20-21. And then if they get that field goal on the play where I was talking about where we went into dime and only sent a 3-man rush and we're basically content with letting them get the field goal, 23-21. We lose this game. If 2 plays go differently.
Yeah. You could say that about, you could say that about most college football games. But
true.
I completely understand. And that's why I'm really glad they missed that field goal. And that's why I'm bringing it up because a lot of people aren't talking about it. But Ja'Kai Lang was the one that had the huge tackle for a loss that made that field goal from a chip shot to just slightly more difficult. And that was enough for Auburn to miss the kick. And yeah, I want to make sure that play doesn't go untalked about. So I thought the defense got their shit together for the most part. The coverage was pretty good besides, again, the big busted coverage touchdown. And that was to Cam Coleman, Auburn's 5-star wide receiver that they got over the offseason. I mean, he is a stud. So I can give this defense a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but that has to stop. These DBs need to keep their eyes out of the backfield and just stay with the man in front of them. Because I will keep repeating this. This is not like other teams being able to completely outrun our guys and we just lack athleticism and speed in the secondary. I don't think that's what it is at all.
No.
It's literally just a disciplinary thing.
Yeah, it's coaching.
Yep, it's coaching. Come on, Batoon. Get your guys lined up. Get them tuned up. Get them straight. Like, I'm tired of seeing this because we were very close to what I would say a perfect defensive performance.
Yeah. No, like the defense did really good. Like we say that Pine did enough to keep us in this game. That's only because you could trust our defense so much to consistently get stops and not let Auburn get to our side of the field and get into field goal range consistently. And like Luther, we didn't really talk about this much, but whenever he dropped the punt, like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Luther
the confidence kind of left the building.
Yeah.
It was bad.
People, I saw people like a lot of the student section started to go deer hunting after that.
Started to go deer hunting. It's not even deer season yet, is it?
Nope, not yet.
So, well, I was listening to Gabe's post-game shows yesterday afterwards, and someone called in and admitted that they left the stadium after the Luther fumble on the punt return. So definitely the students were not the only ones. There was probably a lot of people that left the game after that, which I don't understand because it wasn't like blowout territory, not even close. But yeah, the vibes were not good. And I was like, this just looks exactly like the Auburn game from 2022 where nothing is going right. And it's just going to be one of those types of games.
Yeah.
And it was really going to piss me off if we lost because then our all-time record versus Auburn would continue to look worse, which, probably doesn't matter as most people would agree. It doesn't matter that much. But it's like this fucking Auburn team has not been good, and we keep losing to them. And it's like it's time for us to finally beat them. So I would have been really pissed if we had lost yesterday because it just makes us look worse than Auburn, who's been shit, quite honestly, over the past few years.
For sure. No, but like that Luther play, why are you trying to return it? Like, what are you trying to do there?
It just felt like it reminded me exactly of this, Brayden. If you remember the Chiefs-Texans playoff game from the 2019 Super Bowl run, whenever they were down 24-0 to the Texans, there was one point in that game, I think the Chiefs were down like 14-0 or 17-0, and they were about to get the ball back. Texans punt. Tyreek Hill gets put back there. Now, Tyreek Hill returned punts during his rookie year. So it's like, okay, we need a score desperately, so we're just going to put Tyreek back there, even though he hasn't returned one like all season. And he muffs it. And I never necessarily blame Tyreek for that because I think the coaches put him back there. No, now it's a little bit different because Luther has returned punts.
Luther's been returning punts all year.
Yeah, so it's not like he's not used to it. However, I do have a feeling that Luther was put under a lot of pressure to make something happen there, and that's why he felt the pressure and ended up muffing the punt. So a lot of people are going to blame Luther for that. I mean, like, yes, it's his fault that he muffed the punt,
catch
but
the fucking ball.
A lot of people played a part in that scenario unfolding.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind that, and like you can take a little bit of the blame off of Luther, but it's still a boneheaded play. You have 3 Auburn defenders right in your face, call a fair catch, and just catch it. Yeah. You're not going to be able to make anything special happen there.
Yeah, so like I'm not going to fault him too much because it's just a guy trying to make a play when the team is down big. That's all he was trying to do.
But he doesn't need to be playing hero ball.
And honestly, I think me and you agree. He doesn't need to be returning punts at all.
No, he doesn't.
It's like
it needs to be Blood and Manning.
And I listened to Drink during a podcast, and he said this, and I theorized this at the beginning of the season. And I was listening to a podcast recently where Drinkwitz specifically talked about Luther returning punts this year still because he's like, hey, man, if you want to win the Heisman, you need to do something else besides playing wide receiver. So they're giving him the opportunity on special teams. And it's like, okay, well, at this point, Luther's Heisman campaign is out the window. Yeah. His stats are nowhere near good enough. There's not enough time to make up for it. There's other guys. Ashton Genty probably has it in the bag. So there's really no point in Luther being back there anymore. And
not after Barry Odom's elite defense stops him. UNLV. That's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that one for sure. But I mean, there's no point in Luther returning punts anymore.
No, not at all. And the fact that Drinkwitz was concerned about Luther's Heisman campaign shows you just the mentality of this team this year was so off. And that's why we're not playing this well, because we were focused on all the outside noise. We were focused on all the media. Kool-Aid. Yeah. Like Drink the entirety of last season was just like, don't look at the media. Only thing that matters is us in here. And then this year, like all that we've been seeing is Luther getting mad about not getting College Game Day. Drinkwitz trying to get Luther Burden the Heisman. Drinkwitz like thinking about the college football playoffs. We're thinking about all these external factors that we can't control. And that's why we're in this situation. And we go down just a little bit against A&M.
And I think Brady Cook, part of his poor play this year is because he feels the pressure of being the starting quarterback for a top 25 team with playoff aspirations.
In A&M, like that A&M game, the moment that we were down 10-0, you could tell and feel that this team was not going to fight whatsoever. They had no life, no care, no passion, no drive to do anything in that game. And it was pathetic. And sure, they fought back today, but you did that against a bad Auburn team at home. I can't be that impressed by that. You were down 17-3 against the worst team in the SEC this year, and I don't think that that's a stretch to say that, because Vandy's been solid. Maybe you can argue
Kentucky might be worse.
Kentucky,
maybe Oklahoma. Whatever.
I mean, but at least Kentucky beat Ole Miss.
Sure.
Mississippi State's probably worse.
Yeah.
Still one of the bottom 2 teams in the SEC, and it takes a miracle, lucky 95-yard drive by your quarterback with a bad ankle to win this football game. Like that's where Mizzou's at right now. I still think at worst we probably go 9-3 or 8-4. I don't see us losing to Arkansas. I don't see us losing to Mississippi State, and by God, I don't see us losing to Oklahoma. But at SC, I do not give a fuck what you say. That is not going to be an easy game.
I mean, I don't think any game left is an easy game, but South Carolina still isn't particularly good. But yeah, sure, Mizzou.
They kicked the shit out of Oklahoma, dude.
Well, we know Oklahoma
in
sucks.
Norman. Oklahoma sucks, but in Norman, scoring 21 points in the first 5 minutes.
Well, that was more so because Oklahoma's quarterback kept throwing interceptions, and South Carolina's defense.
You still got to pick them off and run them back. They kept the lead.
They're not particularly good, but yeah, we could lose that game. We could lose any of these games because we haven't shown that we're good enough to say, hey, that's an automatic win or this should be an easy win. I don't think there is an easy win left. Even Mississippi State, like anything can happen.
They played A&M close.
Yeah, anything can happen. We didn't play A&M close. That's for damn sure. So, okay. We don't want to preview Bama or anything quite yet, but Brayden, like, what is the general sentiment going into that game? Because I'll keep saying it, like, this team, as long as they keep winning games, they give themselves a chance to figure it out, and I hold out a little bit of hope that they can figure it out offensively, and I guess I should say defensively because, I mean, they've had some low lows this year. They have to put it together consistently, but I'm not writing the Bama game off yet. I mean, they lost to Tennessee yesterday, didn't look good against South Carolina, lost to Vandy, who we beat. Like, this is not a game that I'm writing off.
Mizzou is plus 13.5 for this game.
Yeah.
I think that, and this is rare for me, I think you can be a little bit optimistic going into this one as a Mizzou fan because you don't have anything to lose per se. Like, if we lose this game, yeah, we're probably not making the college football playoffs. But, I mean,
consider that 10-2.
That it still feels like, as of right now, I'm not expecting the CFP, like, at all. I'm not expecting it one bit. If we beat Bama, everything's on the table. But Bama is a 5-2 team who's feeling all the pressure in the world, who is off of 3 bad games in a row, whose locker room probably feels like they don't have the greatest shot at the college football playoffs because they're going to drop in the polls a bit, who still has to go play at LSU. So that, like, this is a Bama team that doesn't have playoff aspirations or a good shot at the playoffs. So that locker room, and with the way that DeBoer has been handling it and handling the pressure.
So you're saying, Brayden, that Bama could potentially roll over just in time for us. Is that where you're headed? Is that,
I'm saying that Bama could really just phone it in for the rest of the year. And that locker room could very much just be completely defeated and just not be as up for this game. And Brady Cook said, like, oh, we're going to be riding this win for a bit, and, like, we're going to carry this win and this momentum that we had. And if we do, I don't think that we will, but if we do, and we come out with our hair on fire again, like we did at the end of the Auburn game, and we come out strong against Bama, and Bama continues to play weak, we do have a shot in that game. That's a big if, but when you have me saying that it's a possibility, that means something because I'm never fucking optimistic about
But you're picking us to lose. That's what I'm getting.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
That's just disappointing, Brayden.
42-7.
Oh, come on. Not even close? In a world of Brayden Dowers, be a Brett Sarver.
Dirt.
Be a Brett Sarver. Who's going to pick us to win, I'm sure. Okay, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Missouri wins 21-17 over Auburn. They give themselves a fighting chance going forward, going into Tuscaloosa. That for sure will be a tough game no matter where Alabama is in the standings and the polls because they still have a lot of talents. Alabama, it's in Tuscaloosa. So we'll probably talk about that game later in the week. But Brayden, any closing thoughts?
Not really. Josh uploaded on Show Me Movies. I'm going to get to uploading on there here pretty soon as well. The return of Brayden on Show Me Movies will be back. So go check out Show Me Movies.
Yeah, make sure to check out my review of Terrifier 3, which is doing pretty well right now. And if you haven't seen Terrifier 3, go out and see it while it's still in theaters. I promise you, you'll love it. But yeah, all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Mizzou fans can find this. And we'll see you all in the next one. MIZ.
ZOU.